Okay, we have participants coming in. Perfect. Hi, everyone.
Hey, folks, thanks for being here.
Yeah. Mhm. Hello, everyone. So if you could tell us where are you joining from, and also if you can share a greeting in your language, that would be really amazing. Mm, Okay. Mm. We'll be taking Q&A later in the after the session. So yeah. Oh, so I see good morning from Philippines, good morning from Pakistan, good morning from Canada, Barbados, Armenia. Wow, a lot of people joining in. Pagbati mula sa Pilipinas.
Great. Hi, Jaslyn. And just so you know, if you can't stay for the whole session, it's being recorded so you can catch up later.
Yeah, I see Tararus, I see Iser, Tiangwa. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Jarian and Natia, Jaslyn. Okay, yeah. Mm, we'll wait for a couple of more minutes and then we'll be heading on to the presentation. Perfect. Uh, okay, we have people from all across. Like I can see people from China, Philippines to Westminster to Sudan. Okay, what is the best method to speak fluently? Mm, Mulint. Uh, I'll just call out the last name, Miloud. What do you mean by what is the best method to speak fluently? Maybe you can drop that question in the question and answer section, and then we'll be taking it with like more detail and elaborately. How do you speak English? Uh, Anna, maybe you want to answer from a first as a native language speaker, and then
Uh,
I'll answer it from a second language perspective, second language
yeah, I
speaker.
have no English teaching background at all, so I don't think I can give a very good answer other than lots of practice and being around people who speak the language that you're trying to speak. Yeah. I don't know. What do you say, Hercules?
It's the same for me. Like the more you speak and more you try to use the language in informal setting, not just go speak it because you have to give a speech or because you have to give a commentary, but you just start using it to express your ideas to people more general and to friends, and maybe you'll develop some competencies in the language wherein you are not you're just using it for official or formal purposes, but then it becomes your go-to language for thinking and expressing ideas, complex ideas which are not officially in nature, and then yeah, you'll be much fluent in English. Mm. Okay. Uh, so let's start with the session. I think we have a good population right now. Yeah. Even if we start taking one question for like 1 minute, we're gonna spend an hour. So mm, let me just yes, quick check. Can everyone see the screen? And yes, perfect, perfect. So mm, yes, let's start. So I'll quickly give you start with my introduction, and then I'll be heading on to the uh, topic. So hello everyone. I'm Hercules Singh Minda. I'm from India and natively born into the Munda tribe of Jharkhand. It's an indigenous community in India. Um, um, recently submitted my dissertation for Masters in Linguistics at School of Oriental and African Studies at University of London. And uh, for my dissertation, I worked on uh, the So language community, which is based in Uganda. It's in the northeast region of Uganda and Kenya, and the language community is a critically endangered one with less than 100 speakers. In my own observation, I found that there are even less speakers and less than 30 speakers that are there. And that's what makes the whole fieldwork experience more interesting. And today I'll try to share with you some of the anecdotes or some of the experiences I had while doing the fieldwork, and what are the do's and don'ts that you can apply in your personal field work. And also, as the poster said, how do we do the field work remotely? So that's also an interesting part in my journey working with the soul language, and I'll be sharing that part as well. Uh, Good. So this is thanks to Anna for inviting, and also to LTDC and ELP for organizing it, because it's it's almost 2 or 3 years back when I first joined the trainee session, and then I learned so much that I went on to study linguistic and also to implement whatever I've learned in through the sessions into real life. Uh, okay, so first of all, as the name suggests, audio and video recording. What do we use recordings for? In general, we use recording to save it in our files, to save it for later purposes. That's the basic English or definition, that you record something so that you can use it later on. And then when you have access to your recordings in a later moment of time, you use it for different purposes, such as linguistic analysis. You use it as examples while teaching, or maybe to refer to those recordings as a important cultural speech, or like anything to revisit the culture or the time that you have captured. So that's the basic purpose of recording. And mm, so why make video recordings at all? And in specific in the context to language and culture. So as you see, language is more than just a speech. It includes facial expression and gesture. And as you know that uh, whole of human communication is divided into three parts, wherein you have the oral communication, and then you have also the visual clues that you do. Like, for example, I'm doing hand gestures. So this is a part of my expression. Uh, I'm sure everybody will be famous about the Russian, like, amore. So so in some languages you see gestures become a very integral part of their expression, and uh, in order to understand the language completely through recording, you need to make video recording so that you just don't have access to the audio, but also to uh, the gestures, to the facial expressions that adds to the whole meaning. And so, in essence, videos give us an access to understand the language not just in terms of oral but also in visually. And at last, people just love videos. I mean, uh, there have been times I believe that we have a complex topic to learn and we simply Google it out because video makes it very easy to understand. And the same is true for language also, that if I give you a piece of audio to hear it, but then feel more difficult compared to when you have a audio. And the answer to it is because when you're reading, you have your ear senses which are active, but then when you engage your visually senses as well, then you start to draw more meaning to whatever you're listening or to hearing. So, in context of field work, choose how should you record a video. And when we say how, it means what are the conditions that we is best for recording an audio so that it can be used for later purposes. And so, like, you cannot always control where you record. Some situation will be less than ideal, and I would say not some, it's most of the situation that will be ideal, less than ideal, and the only ideal situation is a recording studio or a makeshift or recording studio that you make for yourself in the field. Otherwise, any natural situation is very less than ideal for you to record unless you're recording the nature. Uh, so, when possible, choosing a beneficial setting can dramatically improve the quality of the video recording. And for example, I'm doing this session from my room. Imagine me doing it sitting in mid of the traffic light signal. More than me, you'll be hearing the horns and bomb of all the cars. And as so background in essence, the background and the environment can add a lot of noise to your video, and it can reduce a lot of noise in the video. And more often when you're going to a field work, you'll not be having access to infrastructures like let's say a recording studio or a quiet room like this. And then you have to learn like you have to manage that through your equipment, that we'll be seeing shortly, that how do you manage noises through your equipment. So uh, but before that, so these are some of the things that you can avoid. As you can see, fans, electrical appliances, children's, animals, more specifically animals and birds, uh, or background chatter. These two are a lot important because when you're recording, you tend to use like capture all the audio that are there in your vicinity. And when I say vicinity, automatically you end up capturing the background chatter that are there. Or if you're going into the field, then you have a lot of these noises from animals and birds. So, uh, yeah. Uh, so what would be an ideal recording condition? Indoor room, that's the best. Quiet rooms, that's the best. Uh, when you're in field, try to uh, uh, separate the people who are you are interviewing from the people who are just to observe. And it will happen a lot that people will be there to observe a lot. uh, from my experience, you need to tell them uh, at least one time that, hey, I can hear your conversation. Because if you just tell them that, okay, please be quiet, they will be quiet for a moment, and then it's human tendency to start conversing. So it's better that when you state that like everybody needs to be quiet. And then second time you tell them that, okay, I can hear you are talking about this. So they also understand that you are not just telling about being quiet, but you can actually hear what the conversation is. And try to maintain a distance. That's important. One thing that's not here is consider the air wind, because if you're usually by field work, I assume you're going out in to a more natural place where there is high current of airflow, and air can also be a distraction in your recordings. So so let's divide this recording sessions into two part, where we will be how would we record indoor and then how would we record outdoor. And when you are recording indoor, framing becomes a very integral part of the uh, recording. Anybody here knows about the rule of third, or no? Yes, no? Quick poll. Rule of third. So you can see it whenever you start your camera, you can enable show grid, and then you'll see grids coming up in your camera. Let me just show if I can show grids. No. Um, so. um, no, no, no. So basically, rule of third is you divide your screen into like two horizontal and two vertical lines, and you divide it into 9 sections. And you'd always try to keep the subject in the center of those 9 blocks. And uh, also you try to capture the video, or the frame should be above the waist length, so that it captures your upper body and you have access to both the arms. So in this context, let's say if you're taking my video, so ideal video frame would be something like this, where you have access to my head, uh, but then you also have access to my hand movement, or let's say the upper body. uh, some You can try this with yourself now, that uh, you can just see yourself how you're seeing, and you'll realize that when you put yourself in those 9 frames and you try to center yourself, your face in the center, and keep your cover your upper body part, you'll have a more better visual uh, recording visuals than compared to you just zooming into the face. And uh, so camera should be slightly below the people's face level, as I said, and make sure that everything is focused. When you're in the field, you have this small tiny bit and pieces that hold very critical for you, such as make sure you have zoomed in, uh, and or if you have not, then you have focused like exactly to the point that you want to capture. You have mic on. That's another thing that you might realize that, oh, you have recorded the whole thing, and then uh but you don't have the audio, and that's something you don't want to do. And also, zoom in for once and all. Don't try to zoom in and zoom out, because understand that we are trying to make a cinema, but it's in academic in nature, or it's not very, you don't need zoom in and zoom out for more about effects rather than uh, actually capturing the essence or the subject could be. So try avoiding zoom in and zoom out. This is one of the common effect that everyone attempt to do. Like they zoom into the person's face and then they zoom out. But in the process, you'll realize that you have missed out on the gestures, and that's important. So what would be a bad framing? As you see over here, if you divide the screen, tic tac toe, as Anna said. So over here, the subject. is on the left, totally on the left side. Uh, Over here, she's in the center, but then her head is on the second block, and it's also the vantage point is slightly up. So you, unless and until it's specifically that you want to take this shot for a region, you would want to just look into the person face or eye straight rather than looking it from higher vantage point. And uh, same goes for this. You see, there is lot of background over here, which you may not want to include in your video. Also, this breaks the rule of quiet place because then if the door is open, you always have people coming in and going out. So, what would be a good frame? Here in this case, you see there in this case when there are two people, you have both of their faces centering toward the midpoint, and then you're capturing the upper body part wherein you can see their hands gestures and you can easily capture their hands movement, and so that would be a good frame. uh, this again is a good frame. As you can see, this is in case of one person, you divide the whole section into 9 blocks, and you have the participant's face exactly in the center, and you can see the upper body part, which is also towards the center. Mm, Also, another important thing, the difference between here and here, as you can say, is the lighting is much better. So uh, that's also a point to be considered, that uh, like when you're recording a video, make sure that you have adequate light. And mm, so uh, okay, yeah, let's say this. So these are some of, yeah, as I was talking about light. uh, Avoid filming in front of a bright white window or other bright objects, and because in a way it will uh, create a glare in your video or in the face. And uh, avoid glasses. Over here you see she is wearing, but she's not wearing. And often when you're recording, you have light that glares into your glasses, and that's something you would want to avoid. uh, Bright lights also creates a glare on your camera screen towards the eye, or avoid overhead lights that can create shadows. That's another. Yeah. Bring extra light with you if possible. So often any extra light would be uh, extra weight for when you're doing a recording session. And so I would add, bring extra light-weighted lights, which you can easily support from your laptop or from your mobile, and that would be that would be really helpful. Check for white balances. So when you're recording in your, let's say if you're recording through a DSLR or mobile, you always have this option to control the white balance. And so ideally, when you'll be recording, you'll be doing a pilot run or a trial run, practice sessions, and it is during that time you check the white balance, you check the exposure, uh, so that you don't miss out on anything on the participant. And one thing to remember is it's always the participant that you should be focused about, not the background. So don't worry about that. Okay, the background is not coming up clear, or there is inadequate light. Like in here, you see the participant piece is properly lit up, and background is just secondary over here. Uh, Use a piece of white fabric, not something glossy, and change the settings so that it appears truly white. So yeah, this is a sort of hack that you can do is just bring in a white fabric, or even a piece of a paper from your notebook, and just see that it's you can use this as a base for matching the color. Okay. Uh, So, uh, yeah, lighting. Yeah. So over here, you can see it's an example of bad lighting, wherein we have bright light in the background, and that's in a way shadowing the creating uh, uh, contrasting with the camera light, and then the whole face goes dark. So that's something you wouldn't want. And to avoid this, generally, what you in this frame, what you could have done is cover the window, bring in an extra light, and yeah. So that's something you can do. Uh, in this case, you see it's a good lighting example because one thing is check white balance. You have both the speakers. Uh, Again, their upper body part. You can if they have enough space for free movement. Uh, by the way, at this point, if somebody wants to ask any questions, I'll please ask. Let me know.
Hercules, do
Or
you
should
want
we?
some help with moderating the questions? Like, shall I just pull out questions from the chat and read them to you?
Yeah, that would be good. Thanks, Anna.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Tesfaye asks, how do all people like video? It may depend on their culture and beliefs.
Uh, how do old people?
Oh, I think the slide said everyone likes video, and this person is asking, really, everyone? Some people, that may
Uh,
depend on culture and belief.
okay, so this is like teaching your parents about how to use mobile application, or how do you use how teaching them how to send email. So definitely a lot of I mean, not just old people, but anyone who has not been exposed to technology would find videos as abrupt change to how they perceive visual reality. And for them, uh, it takes time. I mean, once the easiest way to do it is tell them about the good benefits of it. Like you can, through a video recording, you can capture like the reality of any place or any culture and then use it for later on. And and personally, I've not met anyone who I have not convinced that videos are bad. uh, so yeah, I mean, to answer, like, there will definitely be people like people who are not used to seeing videos, and specifically in this context, uh, specifically parents or grandfather's generation who are much more into uh, less technology actually. So for them, you need to, once you tell them about the purpose, and then I think they're all good to go. That's what I would say. What about you, Anna?
I think generally that's right. Some people just might not be used to video. There may be some cultural contexts where video recording is inappropriate or not acceptable. And it really
Mm,
depends on what you know about where you're working and who you're working with. So if somebody
mm,
expresses a very firm discomfort with video recording, I wouldn't push it. But generally, in my work, most people I've met are very excited about video. You may find the same thing.
yeah. And just adding on, like, it's right that some people or some community as a whole might not want to export certain aspect of their reality for you to record the video. And the solution over there is that respect their privacy. But at the same time, if you end up forming a good relationship with the community, slowly and steadily they will as they earn your trust, and mm, as you earn their trust actually, sorry, you'll be given access to the community and about those aspects which earlier you were rejected or you were neglected. And it's a very common thing because even for in my context. So when I went to work in Uganda with the So community, I was uh, I on the last day I was given access to their most interior village, uh, which is so. Quick story, side story. I used to climb, like, go for hiking for 2 hours in the mountain, climb up the mountain, and then meet people in some village. And often those villages will be to the outskirt of the where they are living, they were staying. And so the first mountain I went, met, like I only had to hike for 30 minutes because the place was like really close, like close to the roads or low level. Second day, 1 hour. So slowly they started seeing me work, and the word spread. And in the third day also, uh, I hiked in for 2 hours, went to the ridge of the mountain where all the elders were sitting. And then in the past, from the past two mountains, whatever I've learned, I tried to utter some sentences and introduce myself. And seeing that, they were happy that okay, there's he's a researcher, but he's also speaking our language. And then they further invited me to the actual area where they stay, which is surrounded by like herds, and it's a mid of jungle. And so we hiked in for another 30 to 40 minutes. And that's when I reached the most private space where they actually were living. So, what I want to say is, if people are not willing to show this, some aspect of their community or language culture, don't do it. But also, as a researcher, you should keep working so that and there will be a time when you'll be earning their trust slowly and for different aspect. And you'll be exposed to, they'll be willing, the community will be willing to open to you. And so this is a case where the community opened to show me their houses, like where they actually live. But and at the same time, there are still a certain aspect of the community which is like uh, their few of the celebrations, which I requested, but I was not granted. So my point is, it's like you'll have some wins, some losses, and you should just continue on. And uh, most of the time, you'll be given access to a lot of the aspect of the language of the community. So it's only certain areas where you need to push in more, and it takes time for you to get access to those aspects of the community.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Oh, there's one more
So
question.
yes.
Should we keep on with the question break, or do you
Yeah,
want to
let's
save the
take
others till the end?
one or
One
two
more?
more questions, and then I'll head back to
All
the
right.
description.
So Allison asks, how would you approach asking people to leave or be quiet if they're being disruptive or making too much background noise? Tough question.
Mm. Ah, so the and I'll say this from my experience. So I went to, this is the second mountain I was there, and uh, big people just surrounded us. I was doing a recording for the folk songs that was there in the of the community. And people like the whole of village came in actually there. So it was more than 50 or 60 people. And as I'm recording the 10 people, like, they are singing, the other 50 people also started singing, and then you cannot do anything. And that's the worst kind of noise that you want to have in the background, wherein you want that sound to be there, but you also don't want to that sound to be there. And so that's the worst kind of background noise that you want to have. But then you have always like people, babies crying, then you have people just gossiping. And then there is like, what I did was, there are two things that I did. Was one is make sure that people are observing from a far, far distance. And that's something it's easy because you see, when people are observing, they're sitting, going to observe, people want to do it sitting at a place, not just standing for a long period of time. Or even after, let's say they're standing for the first 15 minutes, they would eventually sit down. So once you get people to say, create like mark some distance, or like tell them, the people surrounding to mm, be seated away in a distance, that really works out. The second, which I told was, first time you tell them that okay, please be quiet. But second time you actually go and tell them, I can hear you are talking about what's in dinner tonight, or whose baby is crying, or what's happening. You just give a snippet of what you heard, so that they understand that you're not just telling them to be quiet, but you can actually hear them in real time what they are talking. And so this like saying this what they are speaking, repeating it to them. I found that really worked out well for me, because then people were shocked, like, okay, even though, because they were sitting far away, they thought, like, they thought, people usually don't understand the capacity of the mic that you're using. And so that's the main problem over there, that people are not used to these kind of mic, wherein the mic can really capture noise from a big area. And when you repeat what people are talking and to them, people get an idea that, okay, the mic is really powerful, and if it can catch our recording, our us speaking, then definitely it can capture a lot of noise. Yeah. But a more general answer would be, understand how things are going out. You'll have uh, coordinators in when you're if you're going to a community which is non-native to you, you will always have people who will be there with you in the field, like a consultant or field point of contact, and they would be a better person to communicate this to the surrounding. Yeah.
All right, you want to take one more or go
Yeah,
on?
the
One more?
one last year.
All right, so Tesfa has kind of a two-part question. Yes, can we get out of authentic situations due to disturbance, as there are different quality recording that reduces noise? For example, some storytelling carries on at night in a rural area where there's no light. How can we manage this kind of situation in video recording?
Mm, I'm trying to read the question. Is it
I
from
think
Q&A?
essentially
Yeah.
it's from the chat. I was just trying to pull questions out of the chat. So
Okay. Yeah.
basically, what do you do if something really cool like storytelling is happening in a situation that's not very conducive to recording, like at night in the dark?
Uh, so mm, this answer I'll give it from my supervisor's perspective, because when he was working in Chad, my supervisor, Dr. Joseph Lavasad, Joey, so he was recording folk, like basically a storytelling using sand. And so for the daytime, it's pretty chill out, that okay, you have enough sunlight and then you can record. But then when you're recording that same story session at night, because there are some stories which describe moons, or let's say stars, and that can be done only at night, as like similar conditions, that there isn't much natural light. So in those cases, using a artificial light would be the best solution from my side, or what I've learned, that uh, mm, because the video wouldn't be of any use if you cannot make make meaning out of it, or you cannot if the elements are not clear to you. And that's why you might want you need to use a artificial light in such settings. Yeah, so that's my answer. Use artificial light, but try to reduce it as much as possible. And then when you using artificial light, understand that then you'll have to also set up your equipment in terms of the exposure, then the shadows that are coming, and you have to be very cautious about uh, which angle to take the videos, and making sure that the brightness or the luminous or like intensity of the light is not much, so that it's like your uh, subjects or the elements are just there, but they're not like glowing. Yeah, so that's my answer. Lamp, flashlights, yeah.
Great. All right. I
One
guess
one of the trick that you can another thing you can do is put on a cellulose paper in front of the glass. It really, I mean, have seen like a lot of photographers putting a white sheet in front of their light. That's basically to reduce the intensity but make it more natural. So that's something I would say you can try. Yeah.
great. It looks like we're now getting some questions about audio recording, so maybe we should talk about audio quality.
Yeah, let's talk about audio recording. So recording equipments. So I'll put out what recording equipments I used, and then we'll be talking about it. So in my recording equipment consists of Zoom H4n. Even Zoom H2n would be enough for you to record. So it's just a matter of your access to kind of equipment that you have. But the least is you can use Zoom HN2, and the difference between these two is you have more mm, ports for mic, external, adding more mics. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, even the Zoom H2n would be more than enough. And then I use external mics. I use Shotgun, Rode, and Zoom mics, and then uh, I use Canon 250 DSLR to record, and I use a converter in the camera to to convert the audio recording using external mic from digital to and like to make sure that I'm recording the analog audio. So yeah, for that I attach the DSLR camera with a converter and external mic. So yeah, we as I said, like everybody has their own set of uh, equipment, a dedicated audio. And for the folks who don't have a dedicated audio, I'll be telling you about how I used WhatsApp to record audio when I was not there, to record remotely, basically. To record remotely. So not to worry if you don't have dedicated audio, but it's always advised that at some point you would get it, specifically if you're going it for field work. Yeah. So why not record with your computer or phone onboard mic? Because phones are designed to cut off some of the sound frequencies, and yeah, designed to remove background noise. And so you'd be questioning, like, yeah, it's good, right? Like the background noise is removed, and so it's like inbuilt solution. We don't have to do anything by ourselves, and yeah. But I would say uh, the point we need to understand here is the main purpose of phones or computers are for computing or for everyday use, not for high quality audio recording, which can be used for linguistic analysis. And that's the reason why you don't use like phones and camera from your laptops or mobile phones. And yeah, but at last, as I said, if you don't have access to dedicated audio recorder, using your phone or mic phone or computer microphone is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. And so this graph shows the combination which goes from the best to less ideal. So the best thing is to have a video camera. In my case, I have Canon 250D, tripods, audio recorder, Zoom, and microphones. And that goes on, like it's okay that if you don't have a video camera, so like nowadays the phone's cameras are pretty much good enough, uh, and you can complement that with good light and good audio. So a smartphone video camera, combine that with tripod audio recorder and microphone, would do a good job, really good job. Uh, Reduce from there, reduce a microphone, and then you are using the mic which is there of your phone or video camera, and then uh, find some noises over there. And so yeah, like basically mm, it's good that you have your own record or some dedicated equipment for audio, video, and for mic. And once you have these three, you have different like you can add tripod, uh, you can add gimbal. Yeah, you can find supplements for other things, but it's to have a dedicated piece of equipment for recording the video, for storing the audio, and for like microphones. Those are the best combination. And Yeah, so you'll more information on professional video equipment in the accompanying links. You can always reach out to me about. I can give you a detailed list of equipments for fieldwork, which has more than 20 or 30 elements, starting from a spray can to make sure that you don't have dust in your cameras, to silica gel, to connecting wires, to extra set of battery charger, a lot of things that you can always add on to your equipment list. So yeah, equipment compatibility, research equipment before you buy it, and please do it. uh, from a first-hand experience, one so one of the differences that I found out was in UK, you can only record 30 minutes using DSLR, and in contrast, in your India, you can record for infinite, or like as long as your battery and memory card is running. So it's very important that you research your equipment, so that and by researching your equipment, I don't mean just the how good is the equipment, but there, as you see in this case, you have government rules related to the equipment, and that change the whole like what kind of equipment you'll be getting. uh, and so yeah, that uh, research your equipment very well, that what kind of equipment you'll be using. For example, I found out that using uh so I use a gimbal as well, I use DTI, and I found out that the latest version of gimbal has uh, half the battery capacity compared to the previous version, and that's why I chose the previous version, not the latest version. And that's where researching your equipment really come into use, that you just don't buy up the latest version of the product, but you buy the version of the product which really suits your case, and which is needed by you. uh, At last, microphones for dedicated audio recorders don't necessarily work for smartphone, and yeah, that's the case, because uh, when you're using in your microphone, you have the 3.5 mm jack, but then when you're by microphones, apart from Lavia, if you're using a dedicated mic, they'll have the 3-pin jack, or in some cases if we are using shotgun, so yeah, you'll have uh 3.5 mm jack, but those will not be as compatible with the smartphone. So always research about equipment, that's the whole essence of it. And research, because you might want to not just get the latest version, but you want to get the version which suits your requirement. You might want to have the product uh, in regards to the country, and the law surrounding that product in the country. And yeah, uh, so using a external audio so recorder, so in most cases, what will happen is you'll be sitting like you'll be sitting at least 5 to 10 meter far from the participant, and that's the ideal length of your for your record, in which you'll be able to capture the whole frame, or the least is at least 1.5 or 2 meter, and that goes beyond. So as in essence, you'll be recording from a position which is far from least of 2 meter to 5 meter, and in between there is a gap. There's a which uh, which uh, between the speaker and the your camera recorder, and that's how the noise, like this audio get let's say less powerful, or also let's say distorted. So you'd want to use an external audio recorder, wherein you have the video and then you patch it up, you patch the audio with the video, so that you have a high quality video and high quality audio. And mind it, like most of the video cameras are meant to capture high quality video, not a high quality audio. And so towards the last, I'll tell you how I what advice I was given, and then why I choose additional equipment, which has good, not the best video, a good video, but at the same time it complements with a very good audio quality. Uh, so yeah, you use your external audio because the point from where you're recording the video and the point where the participants are, they're usually some distance, and uh, most of the video cameras are designed to capture good videos, not audios, and therefore the audio that you'll be recording will be not of the best quality. Also, you cannot minimize the background noise just with the videos, cameras, microphone. These are the two reasons. Use your video camera microphone as a backup, and the signal should be between 20 decibel to -20 to -12 decibel. Slate your audio. So clap in front of your camera. This is basically a lot of you have seen like lights, camera, action, and then they have this equipment. They do the director's cut. So in your case, you can just do a clap, and you can see that how it's coming up. And clapping is such a good technique because you also check for echoes, and that's another thing that you would not usually understand if you don't create a clap. Uh, so give me. Ah, sorry, I'm still acclimatizing to India now. Uh, so uh, yeah. Uh, Here you see two audios. I think one is from the video and the other one is from the audio. No, so this sorry. Uh, this the first one is from the video where you just have the video, uh, which has its own audio, and then you're using the audio external audio from the external recording equipment or external mic. So you see you align it later on. And what as you can see over, like let's say see these peaks. So when you align with the external audio, you have more clarity. And yeah. mm, yes. So video convert, once you have uh, recorded your video and convert, now you need to convert and edit. So we'll get to it, but before that, sorry. Before that, I'll answer the question, which is a good video and a good audio. So I use Zoom Q8, which has a fairly good video recorder, where it can capture good video with a good light. It can capture good quality videos, but at the same time, it has an inbuilt good quality mic. Uh, so I use that as an additional piece of equipment in my fieldwork, and the results are quite like interesting. That uh, there were some sections where I missed the audio or video because the 30-minute recording time was there in my camera. So after every time, I have to go and press start again, and in that sense, I miss some time. But then using Zoom Q8 was a good choice. So I good for me. I had a external additional piece of equipment. I used it, but in a lot of the cases, you'll not be having access to an additional piece of equipment, and that's why you need to make sure that you are using uh, or the camera and using a external audio recorder, so that you have a best quality video and at the same time you have a best quality audio. So now that you have recorded, you have collected a lot of audio samples and a lot of videos, and uh, how do you go about it? What do you do now? And so this you'll need basically a software to first of all to convert the audios and videos, and to sync it so that you have the high quality video recording, and then you are patching it or syncing it up with the high quality video. And so for that, Handbrake is a good program. If you're thinking why not Adobe Premiere or like more softwares like Adobe Premiere, I would say you would need license. So you have a lot of free options like OpenShot, Lightwork, Headplane, or DaVinci Resolve. And yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can use this. Additionally, what I did was I converted all my audio, all my video to audio file, and I was using Audacity to sync it. It's Audacity is also a free software to edit audios, and I used it so that yeah, I used to match or sync the audio, and then after that, I just passed the video. By the way, okay. Yeah, we usually announce them, but let's move. Okay, I'll quickly finish it up. So make sure your speakers have given their consent and they feel comfortable before starting to record. This is another important aspect, because if you don't have, most of the time, you when you start recording without their permission, you'll fall into legal consequences, and it's a part of your moral or ethics as a researcher that you ask for consent. Uh, Another short story. The community I was working with. Uh, the there were other institutes or organization who tried to reach them out and tried to record them, but just because they were not involved into the planning stage, and the consent was not taken from the community, that for the project, the community rejected the whole project. And then you have like the project fund sanction, you have a team who was trained, and then they are coming to the field, and the community says will not speak a word to them. And this is the kind of consequences that you can have when you don't have a consent, or when you don't involve the community in planning stage. And the second is make sure you're comfortable. One of the trick that I used was just meeting with people, and not just get into recording, but going to the community, telling about yourself, and introducing yourself, telling the purpose why you're here, and then making a statement that can I have your permission to record. Uh, by the time they are usually the participants get comfortable with you, because they see that you're not recording but you're just talking with them. You've introduced yourself well. And yeah, so that's good. I would say first introduce yourself to the community, ask them for a consent, and some days it will become sort of a norm that people will understand, and then you can use like record from the starting, like as soon as you're going to the community. But for the first time, I would say just go without your cameras on, and then record later on when you have introduce yourself, when you have verbally asked for their consent. uh, so how to record as a wave file, because for audio, wave file usually it's much it encodes much more information compared to the usual mp3 files. uh, Step per recordings, as I said, there will be times you'll think you have pressed the button, and then you realize that you have not pressed it. So press the record button, check for and adjust the audio quality, audio levels, or background noise in your trial session. Uh, Press the record button for the second time, and this time it's going to be the real one. And begin recording by saying metadata and slating audio. So by slating, I've already explained. Metadata is something like, okay, on this date at this location, who are the speakers and what is the topic, what are you going to record, so that when you hear back the audio, you any of the transcriber or the translator could understand what is that sort of establish a pre-context or give you a background information. And that's why, so metadata is essentially information about information or a background information about the data, and you would want to record that with the audio so that you don't have to refer to external audio and make sense that okay, this this audio file is for that purpose. uh yeah, so some of the basic things that you say in your metadata is date, name of the people involved, location, type of the recording, and a brief review about what you're going to record. And once you have said that, write down the file name on the recorder and note the location where it is saved if applicable, because you'll be recording in a field work, you'll be recording a lot of people, and you'll have be having multiple time. So it's good to create an index so that you can access it easily. What to remember: record video if possible, choose a quiet space, adjust your speakers in focus and in frame, rule of third, don't have bright lights in the background, uh, cover the if there is a lot of background light, uh, try to cover the light. One of the way you can do is uh, put yourself in a vantage point that uh, the light from the background is covered by the participant, but make sure that your participant is not glowing up, because that when you're covering the background light with the participant, the edge of the participant will be really glowing. So make sure that's not the case. You can always change your vantage point, just move uh, to 45-degree, and you'll have you can again uh, like reduce the background light. Uh, don't have background lights. Yeah, copy videos as soon as possible to your computer, but don't delete from your computer memory, because yeah, that's a very important. You want to create as much backup as possible. Otherwise, the card might go corrupt. It might stolen. Any mishap, and all of your effort will be gone. So yeah. Uh, so uh, should we give this as a task for leader, make film something in your language? This can be a story, song. Swadesh list is a list of word compiled by Swadesh. He is a very famous. The Swadesh word list is named after him. It comprises of basic words which is common throughout humanity, like eyes, mouth, sky, star, and then the first list comprised of 40 words, and it's been expanded to 200 words. It's the same word list that I used to record in Uganda. Conversation or anything you can do. So yeah, make videos and you can send it to Anna, uh, which can be put up in the ELP website, and yeah, so that a lot of the world, a lot of the people from different part of the world can hear you say or see things about your community and about your language. And so that now we come to the second part, which is recording remotely or recording with a phone when you don't have the equipment. And background story, I for my in my case, I was not able to go to Uganda because of the pandemic. And so what I did was I created a WhatsApp group, and also I didn't have much fun, so I just asked them to get a mic and just give them one word at a time, and then they would respond me for that word using the WhatsApp. And because the speakers, these 30 speakers or the 100 speakers, they are not technologically like trained. So I had my point of contact going to the field and then recording them. And so I that was the proof that you can, okay, you can create, you can do recording sessions, or at least you can collect data remotely. And you don't, given it was a COVID situation or given any circumstances where you're not able to go to the field. So recording with phone is also possible, and it's always that you do it using an external mic that uh, enhances the audio quality. So things to remember when you're using a phone: make sure your phone is close to the speaker, or you're using a lavia that is connected to the speaker. Make a practice recording session and listen to it, and so that you know that, okay, what are the background noise that are there, or uh, yeah, which utterance needs more clarity. Place the phone on a soft surface to avoid rattling. uh, yeah, you can use soft surface most of the time. Nowadays you have these uh, tripod, which, selfie stick, which comes with a tripod. So and those are really doesn't cost much. So yeah, you can use it. I wanted, maybe later I'll show you the one I had. Because everybody is using selfie stick, and now the product company have added a tripod to it, so you can oh yeah, just to get a selfie stick with a tripod. Make sure the phone is on airplane mode so that you don't get a call or any notification in between. uh so yeah, I'll be skipping this parts because I think I've already told about this. So most of the external audio recorders comes with an inbuilt mic, but you have to check, are you satisfied with those kind of those that inbuilt mic, and maybe you want to get an external mic, because yeah. Other thing is, these are a bit like the size of a phone, and then it's very hard to for you to just keep it holding it front of the speaker, and also because you'll be recording audio, so getting external mic is good. uh, so I've talked a lot about external mic, and what are these external mic? Uh, there are three kind of external mic. Yeah. So the first one is a shotgun. The second one is handheld, and the third one is lapel. So shotgun is something which you mount it on a tripod or a stand, or you just keep it in front of the speaker. Handheld is the one which we use to sing, or when people they use their hands to hold it. And lapel or lavalier is the one which you plug in. And so based on your, like, let's say you use shotgun when uh, you want to control the audio, and let's say you have a lot of speakers, like when you're recording a song. So shotgun is a good choice of mic. But then when you're recording an individual speaker, so maybe a handheld mic would be good. And in I use handheld mic most of the time because I was recording individually. uh, lapel is good when you're moving. Uh, Nowadays, a lot of lapel come with a Bluetooth adapter or UHC adapter, so you don't have to even connect shotgun and handle are connected to your video camera through wire. But lapel, you can connect that with your video camera or your phone. At the same time, you can use the Bluetooth adapter to connect it remotely. Uh, and yeah. So another thing is microphone directionality. When you're recording, because the noises will be from all directions, and you'd want to cancel some of the noises that are there. And uh, inbuilt, uh, it's an inbuilt feature in the mic. So uh, like like so you have stereo and mono, which stereo captures the whole surrounding, and then mono is only for one directional. So microphone it also have unidirectional, which is it captures from all the directions. And then you have omnidirectional, and then you have bidirectional. So think of it as like uh, the best way to imagine this is if you're in a room, and that's your the feast is your mic. What kind How much area do you want to capture? And that would be that's the scale that you'd be using in your there's a scale called gain, which controls the area of your recording. And yeah, sorry. So unidirectional would be yeah. So at some point you just want to record the participant at the same, but when you're recording two participants, then bidirectional would be good. And when you're recording uh, performance, then omnidirectional would be good. Mm, Adding a recording and yeah, checking sound levels. So these are checks that you do before going and before actually starting a recording, like the clapper, uh, clapping, or check audio levels, press buttons on, press the record buttons once, and record light sound. Record the record light should start blinking. So from red to green. Then place the microphone where it is. It will be during the session, and have the speaker say few test words. Usually we say mic testing 1 2 3, but and adjust the volume according with the buttons on the recorder until the sound clip is as high as possible without clipping. Yeah. So these are some of the I would say uh, pre capture test trials that you need to do to make sure that you're recording the best audio. And access, so as I said, most of the recorders are phone recorders, uh, don't have this high frequency, as I understand that. And having access to a recorder setting to make sure that you record at 44.1 kilohertz or 16-bit, you get option for 8-bit, 32-bit audio. And also the audio quality, so always use .wav file, because then it captures a lot of data, and it's good for editing. Mm, Get to know your recorder. So yeah, as I said, once when you're buying your recorder and you are doing a good research, you would know that how you'd know everything about your recorder. And before, I'm sure nobody would do this, that just straight away buy and then go to the field to do the recording. So mm, always spend some time with your recorder once you have it, and then play along with it, so that it the idea is that the piece of equipment becomes so familiar to that, that you can operate it even in a closed eye. Like you have the muscle memory, and you can imagine where all the settings are. uh, yeah. So with that, we'll come to the end of this session. I hope I've covered all and lot of things. But yeah, so I'm open for questions and session. How much? 7:30. Yeah,
Thanks,
one and a
Hercules.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's see. I'll pull the questions from the chat if you would like.
sure.
We had a question: which format of video is most appropriate for language documentation? You may have recorded that or answered that one already.
Yes, it's there in the site. It's so a lot of ADHD. Sorry, what I'm saying. Uh, it's here. Yeah, I'm sorry. AVCSD. Just don't ask me the full form of it. But yeah, even the handycams have this version AVCSD.
Yeah, any format that's
And
the highest resolution is.
yeah, and you can sense out it's audio, video, see something high definition.
Awesome. We have
Yeah,
another question from Katie. When recording audio, do you recommend recording one long file or multiple shorter clips?
very good question. Um, so apart from your side, like there are things, what, let's say you're recording audio, things like that, but then the speakers speaking continuously for 30 minutes or hour is a very difficult task. And often the native speakers, they are higher, like they are old people, they are higher up of the age, like they are above 60. And for them, even sitting 30 minutes for a recording session is a very big task. So you would need to divide your task like sessions into multiple sessions, wherein you're recording for, let's say, uh, 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and even 45 minutes is a lot actually. So a 20-minute 30-minute session, and then you give them, you take some break, or you create a rotation, like first speaker 30 minutes, then the speaker goes around, relax a bit, get some refreshment, then you're recording the second, meanwhile you're recording the session. A word of advice: check out for, so if you're doing a research in any of the country, like in your country or any other country, check out for the permissible recording time that's there, because in my context, when I was in Uganda, it was 45 minutes that was authorized by the research ethics committee, that in one session we can go only for 45 minutes.
Yeah, you mind if I add one other thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it is really nice to split up the recording into multiple files, just in case you need to transfer them over limited bandwidth really soon. You can, of course, get the full recording and chop it up on your computer, but if for some reason you need to send those files to someone else and you have limited internet where you are, smaller files can be helpful with that.
Yeah,
We
that's
got one
true.
more question. Paula asks, do you have a recommended video or audio post-processing software to optimize video and audio recordings that are provided by students or volunteers doing fieldwork?
Mm, for editing videos, uh, there isn't much to edit video, to be honest, because you just sync the audio file to it. No, that's what I am doing, because if you have recorded a cultural performance, you wouldn't want to temper much of it. You just want to enhance the audio, or let's say some level of brightness to it, or adjust the brightness or contrast to it. But for audios, there are a lot of softwares, starting from what you are looking forward. Let's say, some of the softwares were mentioned here. Uh, but like, so I use Audacity personally for processing my audio, and then there are softwares for making, like, let's say I was making dictionary actually. So in that case, you would want a dictionary making software, which has an inbuilt system for audio, mm, like Flex, or yeah. So but if you ask me personally, I use Audacity to like, what operations I do is, I chop the audio files and name it. But uh, and the other part of your post processing, audio processing, is transcribing. So what I found is, I use online platforms to transcribe audio. I found them to be quite comfortable or friendly. But you can use your own dedicated piece of software if you want to transcribe. Uh, yeah.
All right. I don't see any other questions, just a lot of thanks in the chat
Mm,
for your excellent presentation. I agree. Let's have a round of
thank you.
applause for Hercules.
Ah, thank you. And
All right.
yeah.
And thanks to everybody for being here. If you missed anything or you'd like to go check out these links, we will post these slides in the Facebook group and in the Google Drive folder right after this. And if you have any questions, feel free to write to me. I dropped my email in the chat. Hercules, I don't know if you're open to receiving questions also, but you can put your email in the chat.
Yeah,
And
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Good. Yeah.
all right, perfect. And thanks everybody for being here at whatever time of day or night this was for you. And thanks to Hercules for doing this right after getting back to India and being kind of jet lagged. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And tune in next week at this same time, same place for more or phonology, so the sounds of language, and orthography, how to write down those sounds with Margaret Ransdell Green. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Yeah.
beautiful weekend and week ahead.
Uh, Anna, someone just asked if how can I be a part of the Facebook group? So I think it would be good if you can just share the.
Thank you for flagging that. I will drop the link right here. All right. There is the
Perfect.
Facebook group. Yeah, we'll put all
Mhm.
the files there.
Perfect. And yeah, feel free to reach me out for any if you want if you wanted to hear any particular part of the experience that I had in Uganda, or as I said, the detailed list of equipment which I have, and like just the name, not the equipment in reality. But yeah, or for anything, I'm always excited and open to talk about language and culture, and just to have learn anything from you, or if I can share anything from my experiences. So yeah, thank you, Anna, for
Awesome.
sharing that.
Yes, and Joy, yes, I will save the chat. I'll cut out some of the chit chat, but I will post the chat important stuff in the group as well.
Mm.
All righty.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night or day or afternoon or whatever.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks again,
That,
Hercules. Bye, everyone.
yeah, I'll get it going then. Have a good day. Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
Anna. Thanks for bye bye, and have a good evening to you.
Thanks. Have a good morning, Hercules.
Yeah.